It's officially week 4, and it's the kickoff to the Big Ten play for 24th ranked Illinois and number 22 Nebraska. And here to help us break down one of the biggest games of the weekend, definitely the biggest game on Friday, it's our friends Jeremy Werner from the Illini Inquirer and Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. We'll tell you a little bit more about this matchup. We've seen it a few times over the years, but both of these teams now enter 3-0, and both are ranked. Nebraska actually leads the series, a solid 9-3 in Lincoln, which is where this game will take place. And Illinois, though, off to its best start since 2011, while Nebraska is hoping to buck the trend of 12 straight home losses to ranked opponent. This is also the first Big Ten game for true freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola, also his first ranked matchup. So we'll start with you, Brian. Based on what you've seen from him already, how ready is he for this moment?
Well, he's shown incredible maturity for a true freshman, really for any quarterback. He only has one turnover so far this season, and that interception came on actually a pass that could have been a 50-yard completion. It was basically a 50-50 ball. He has not put a lot of throws in harm's way. He's pretty good about dissecting what the defense throws in front of him. But I know they're very respectful, too, of Illinois' defense and sort of how they can disguise their coverages. Illinois obviously has 9 takeaways this season, which I believe ranks 5th in the country. So this will be probably another level of chess as far as difficulty goes for Rhule in dissecting exactly how to attack this defense. But so far, so good. No complaints around here.
Yeah, you mentioned those 9 takeaways. Raiola is historically very smart with the football. I know his college career is very young, but he was very safe in high school. So I want your take on how he handles this, Brian. But first, let's start with Jeremy. How will the Illini defense make life difficult on the rookie QB?
Well, I think respect to the first 3 Nebraska opponents, but I think even Nebraska would say the defenses weren't that challenging, right? Colorado with its fun offense, but defensively they're not as good. So I do think Illinois is the best test that Nebraska and Dylan Raiola have faced. And the biggest change for Illinois from last year, which was a disappointment, right? They went from the nation's number 1 scoring offense to number 73 last season. And Aaron Henry's first year after taking over Ryan Walters, who became that coach, is now they have experience on the back end. Their safeties, Miles Scott has 2 interceptions, 3 takeaways through 3 games. Xavier Scott in his second year as a starter is leading the Big Ten with 3 interceptions through 3 games, along with a forced fumble. And the communication is just far better. The experience is far better. And Aaron Henry is more comfortable. Now that he has guys that he can trust to cover, he can disguise those coverages a little bit better. They've been playing a little bit more zone so far this year. And I think going into this game, you hope Dylan Raiola, they have a lot of respect for. He doesn't play like a freshman, like Brian was saying, but you hope that you can make him look like a freshman playing his first Big Ten game with a lot of experience. And Illinois has got a decent pass rush with Seth Coleman and Gabe Akis on that front. So they just got to make Dylan Raiola look like a freshman. And you got to take advantage of getting him early in his career because, boy, it looks like he's going to be really good.
Yeah, I think one of the tests Dylan Raiola is going to face with that defense is a lot of the disguise goes up right until the snap. So he's going to have to recognize stuff post-snap, which he hasn't had to do as much the first 3 weeks. I think something that can help him is his O-line is a veteran group. They've only allowed 1 sack so far. And he's got some senior wide receivers in Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nayor who have kind of been around the block. So obviously that's good for a freshman when you're surrounded by some guys who have played a lot of college football.
All right, let's talk about the other quarterback. Not getting nearly as much shine, but we do need to highlight Luke Altmyer. He has had a strong start to the season. 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jeremy, how does he keep up this start against a tough Nebraska defense?
Yeah, the biggest thing so far is he's not had much help from the run game, yet Illinois succeeded when they have put the ball in Luke Altmyer's hands. The biggest key for him, he's a second-year starter. He had a lot of growing pains last season, 7 interceptions in his first 3 games. But after that, his next 6 starts, he only had 3 interceptions to 10 touchdowns. He's a very accurate passer, and he's got 2 star receivers in Pat Bryant and Ole Miss transfer Zachary Franklin, who've been reliable and steady, 2 of the top receivers in the Big Ten. But Altmyer's just more confident, more comfortable. It's the first year he's had a second year with a coordinator in Barry Lunny Jr. So he's taken a big step. But as you said, this is a lot bigger proving ground. So we'll see. Can Luke Altmyer prove himself as a top Big Ten quarterback. I think he has the potential and the talent to do that. He's stepped up in his consistency, but Nebraska's front four is really good. I think Illinois is going to struggle to run the ball against guys like Nash Hutmacher and Ty Robinson. So he's really going to have to pass, I think, to set up the run for Illinois to have some success.
Yeah, you said it, Jeremy.
Yeah.
As we know, Brett Bielema teams, they do love to run the rock a little bit, but we're going to talk about that Nebraska defense here, Brian. They are stingy against the run. They've been giving up only 2.5 yards per carry, no rushing touchdowns so far. So how big of an impact will this kind of game within the game have on who wins in the end, Brian?
Yeah, Nebraska had an outstanding run defense last year, and it seems like they're picking up where they left off. Jeremy mentioned Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher. There was a lot of talk this offseason about the polar bear Hutmacher, as they call him. He also did some wrestling for the Huskers, and he's just a force inside. But the real difference I noticed with this defense for Nebraska is Ty Robinson, who's a 6-year senior, and sometimes a guy who's that far in his career, you think you have the book on him and you know what he's all about. He's taken his game to another level. And so the big question is, can Nebraska's 4-man rush be as disruptive as they were a couple weeks ago against Colorado? They sacked Shedeur Sanders 6 times in that game, really made life kind of miserable for him, forced him out of the game early. So it is a group that believes they're a top 10 defense. In fact, they think they can be the best defense in the country. So this is the kind of night where you got to prove that.
Yeah, and Emily, you said it. Brett Bielema was known for running the ball, but Illinois has not been good at it the last couple years. When they've had success, they've kind of gone more to their passing attack, and that's what Barry Lundy did really well at UTSA. He's really invigorated the passing attack at Illinois. So I wonder if they'll be more aggressive with first down passes. They've been really good with the RPO, and maybe that can soften up the safeties a little bit and kind of make room for Caden Fagan, who's 6'3", 250 pounds, and a freshman, Khalil Valentine, who's got a lot of quickness, a 4-star recruit. But they definitely got to have some balance, but you kind of stick with what's working. And right now, the Illini passing attack is working.
All right, guys, we simulated this game 20 times on EA College Football 25. We just couldn't wait. Nebraska won that matchup 15 out of the 20 times. So for each team, starting with the virtual champs, Brian, what is the biggest key to pulling out a win in this very real football game on Friday?
It's all, you can every game talk about turnover margin, but I think for the points laid out previously, it really does come down to that for Nebraska. You're going against a team in Illinois that has specialized in takeaways with 9 of them so far. You've got a freshman quarterback on the other side who's very confident, who is proving himself to be mature beyond his years. But that's a test. Can Nebraska be even or go in the plus category in the turnover margin topic, where a year ago Nebraska turned the ball over 31 times. So far, they've only done it twice this season. So that's been a big improvement for them. But as Matt Rhule said this week, that was the preseason, these first 3 non-conference games. They're 0-0 the way they're looking at it in Lincoln. And so it all starts over again on Friday night. Yeah,
and I would go with make Dylan Raiola put pressure on him. And I mean that in 2 ways. Of course, you want to get pressure on him to get rid of the ball quickly, but make this a close game. I mean, Brian knows the stats of Nebraska in close games. They have struggled. They have not had a close game quite yet. I don't think that goes over year to year, but it has with this program. So you just want to make this a game going into the final quarter, and then make Dylan Raiola make plays against a veteran defense against Illinois. I think if it's a close game, Illinois was able to pull a close one out against a ranked Kansas team a couple weeks ago. I think that's where Illinois is going to want this game, with a freshman quarterback, albeit a very, very good one in Dylan Raiola.
I think we can all agree that maybe when we saw this game on the schedule, we weren't anticipating 2 ranked teams, maybe on a Friday, although I guess at the beginning of the year they did tell us it was on a Friday. But still, I'm excited about this matchup. I think that both of you guys laid out the plans for each team quite nicely, and I'm ready to watch it. So thank you both so much, and be sure to check out the Illini Inquirer for all things Illinois football, and Husker 24/7 for everything you need to know about Nebraska. These writers and their whole crews, they have you covered all season long.